Okay, so the title of this document is Quantifying Love and 10 Other Things. I watched Nosferatu. Shout out Robert Eggers. He is 4 for 4. But The Northman I would love to rewatch because honestly, it was giving okay. Like I was not, no, and I was just like, okay, word, like if you wanted to make this, that's awesome. But honestly, I'm not like losing my mind. I lost my mind at The Lighthouse, lost my mind at The Witch. And I did lose my mind at Nosferatu, but not in the way that, okay, look, anyone who knows me knows that the aesthetics are up my alley, right? Period piece where she's getting effed by a demon. That's it. That is my aesthetic. Like, I'm sorry for those who are late to the party. But here was the thing. So, yes, I watched Nosferatu, but Werner Herzog, 74 Nosferatu was one of my favorites. Did you catch that? The little was. More into that. With me thinking in mind of me not really loving The Northman, loving the the Werner Herzog Nosferatu, loving that, and with it just being so hyped up, and me not completely loving Lily Rose Depp. She's fine, but like I was just like, okay, kind of a weird choice. All of this rolled into one. I was like not getting my hopes up. Also, I don't find Bill Skarsgård hot. So and like he's also one that like everyone was like, oh my god, Pennywise. I was like, okay, y'all are fucking weird, but whatever. Like there was a few things that made my expectations very low going into it. But I watched it and I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed it. Were there maybe moments that I didn't love? Yeah, we'll get into that. Did I love the addition of the mustache? Yes. It seems actually more accurate. Anyways, I watched that and I was like, wow, I actually really enjoyed that. The next night, I watched it with Jenna, shout out Jenna, my roommate. The next night, we're gonna watch another movie, and I'm like, we should just fucking watch the Werner Herzog. And she was like, Werner Herzog. And she said, yes, so we watched it. And I had that thing that's maybe some of you can relate to, where the whole time I was like, do you like it? Sorry, this part's really boring. Sorry, I know this movie's weird, like, we can turn it off, like, if you could leave at any point, like, do you like it? Like, I felt nervous because it was, like, really slow, and there was, like, I don't know, it basically, after watching that other one, I sat with myself for a moment, and I said, I would be lying. After watching those back to back, importantly, watching the Eggers one first, because I was coming off of a high. It was like watching like porn and then watching meditation make your eyes green YouTube video, and it's like, yeah, obviously I'm gonna be feeling like fucking like anxious after that, but like I need more. After my double feature, I realized I would be lying to myself if I said I liked the Herzog one better. Isn't that crazy? But, and Lily Rose Depp did shock me. I liked when she went crazy. Her just as a person seemed out of place there, but it's only because I just know her as Lily Rose Depp. So when she's like talking and in clothes, I'm like, okay, kind of weird, but everything else worked for me. So much of that movie did work for me, even though I was talking to many people and so many people didn't like it. Actually, that's not true. I wasn't talking to anyone. I was listening to the internet. Whatever. Yeah, it made me think. I was like, hey, if that one was one of my favorites and this movie trumped that one, why is this movie not my absolute favorite movie? Watching that Eggers one, I was like, yeah, it's good, but it's like I said, it's not The Lighthouse. Is The Lighthouse one of my favorite movies? Now maybe it should be. Like, maybe I should rewatch that shit. Like, that's crazy. Because, yeah, basically, how could something that I would never have thought to be one of my favorites trump one of my favorites so quickly? And it got me thinking about pornography. Here's where we go into part 2. But before we go into pornography, we have to, pornography in film. Before we get into this, we have to, of course, mention Daddy Cronenberg. Daddy Cronenberg is, as many know, if not my favorite director, probably one of my favorites. It's like him, Miyazaki, Matt Johnson. Okay, fine. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. We're gonna get into Cronenberg later. First, we're gonna talk about Luca Guadagnino, who is also really big into pornography and film. Listen! Unlike Eggers, he is not a no-miss director. Shout out Bones and All. Bones and All did not work for me. Challengers was not one of my favorites. I liked the one scene where the two boys were kissing each other and Zendaya watched. I fucking liked that scene, but most of the other stuff, I also was a fucking stupid person when I watched it, and I don't know if I was just brain dead or what, but I didn't clock that. I'm just gonna cut this whole part, honestly, but I didn't clock that, because it's embarrassing, but I didn't clock that Josh O'Connor's character was the same character in the flashbacks. I had literally only realized that when, like, she met up with him in the car, and I was like, oh my god, I'm a fucking idiot. Like, I also knew the plot of the movie coming into it, so I don't know how I thought that. Like, I genuinely don't even want to talk about it. So, anyways, by the end of the movie, I was like, fuck, I need to rewatch that whole thing again, because I just didn't even know what I was watching. Anyways, Guadagnino's discography is probably bigger, not discography, whatever, filmography is bigger than this, I know, but this is what I've seen in order. Call Me By Your Name, 10. Suspiria, 10. Bones and All, thumbs down, we'll just say. Maybe that one I could rewatch again in a more ironic lens. Maybe I could appreciate it in another way, but to me that movie was just focused on all the wrong things. The whole world building of the Eaters. I don't know if it was based on a book or what, but I frankly don't fucking care. It should have been about two people in this world who were both cannibals and they found each other. Okay, yeah. Also, if anyone knows me, that's also my aesthetic. Why didn't that movie work for me? It should have. It didn't. I love the Three Cheers cover. You know, lovers covered in blood. The end of Possession. I love that aesthetic. This did not work for me. The whole old man with the braid, all this dumb shit. Anyways, doesn't matter. Blah, 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 blah. Challengers, as I said, kind of a yellow flag because I didn't love it, but maybe I should just watch it again, but whatever. So that means that I was going into it similar to Nosferatu. Queer. Daniel Craig. I was not fully sold. I was just like, fuck it, whatever, let's see it. I enjoyed it. As la Nosferatu, comme ça, was not, there's moments that I didn't like, obviously, but all in all, I really liked how pictorialist it was, painterly. I'll get more into the pictorialist later. I hate myself and others. This is why I said I shouldn't have filmed today. I'm fucking all over the place, and I'm like, I also have fleas. So when I was watching Queer, I was like, wow. No. Okay, so I put on Queer. I was like, we'll see what's up. The intro, the credits with Sinead O'Connor's All Apologies. Oh, we're off to a good start. Sinead O'Connor's All Apologies Nirvana cover in my fucking gay sex film. I knew I'd like the movie from the moment the Black Chapter 1, How Do You Like It in Mexico? Oh my god. I knew, and then I paused the movie and I started dying, belly laughing, and I was like, I'm so happy he made Call Me By Your Name too. I'm so excited to watch it, and boy was I, because once again, I hate to expose myself. Who doesn't like gay sex? Whatever. You can hate anything, you can love anything. All that matters is being true to yourself. I'm watching this movie, Something about it is giving Naked Lunch. David Cronenberg. We're back to Cronenberg. Also a very horny director. I'm getting this feeling, and mostly it's because it's set in another country, but part of me is like, why did they set it there? Like, I get maybe something, but anyways, it's set in another country, but it still feels weirdly it's actually not that weird. It doesn't feel like another country. It's not like a Mexican, it's not like Roma, not that I've seen that, whoops, sorry, but it's not like it's a foreign film. It's like, it's an English film set in Mexico City, and it's all English characters, and it's, I don't know, there's a few small places and scenes that did feel, not that I've been to Mexico City, I actually shouldn't talk at all, but it just felt white. Anyways, and I kind of got that vibe with Naked Lunch too, and the whole kind of like, man walking around. Anyways, fucking skip this boring ass story. By the end it says William Burroughs is queer, and I was like, William Burroughs, how do I know that name? I must have known this subconsciously, but also, hey, even if I didn't, it actually doesn't, it makes sense that I also came to this conclusion because they are very similar. William Burroughs also wrote Naked Lunch, the book. You can imagine my surprise. I felt like I had the biggest, fattest dong in the world. Dong brain of equal mass and proportion. I was so smart. I was like, I knew it. And then I started freaking out thinking about William Burroughs. I started doing a bunch of research on him. He murdered his wife. He was a drug addict. He was gay. He was in the 50s. He was a beat poet. Allen Ginsberg, bitch, don't even fucking go there. Put a pin in that. Don't talk about Allen Ginsberg. Don't talk about Allen Ginsberg. I can't even get into that. Whatever. I go to the library and I start reading Naked Lunch. I will now read a small excerpt. Excerpt. Do you say excerpt or excerpt? Excerpt. You gotta like say it really quickly so nobody can tell if you're doing it right or wrong. This is, and on Naked Lunch, I also think this is a book that's like House of Leaves, where maybe one day I'll finish it, maybe one day I'll have the brain capacity to finish it, but then like, in the meantime, I'm just gonna enjoy the small snippets I get because, girl, how the fuck am I gonna sit down and finish that book, personally? Maybe there's others who can, maybe there's others who do. I could see Naked Lunch maybe doing that a bit more because it's shorter. Anyways, sorry, I just need to find it. If you haven't read any William Burroughs, he's kind of notorious for being a little off the wall, kooky, crazy, drug addict. To me, he was a precursor for Hunter Thompson, where Hunter Thompson was far more psychedelic. Shout out Jenna in the kitchen right now. If you hear her, that's her. Hunter Thompson was a bit more colorful and crazy, and this guy was a bit more dingy and crazy. And that's the difference between heroin and LSD. Okay. This is from within the first 40 pages of Naked Lunch. Gentle reader, the ugliness of that spectacle buggers description. Who can be a cringing, pissing coward, yet vicious as a purple-assed mandrill, alternating these deplorable conditions like vaudeville skits? Who can shit on a fallen adversary who, dying, eats the shit and screams with joy? Published in 59, by the way. Who can hang, a weak passive, and catch his sperm in his mouth like a vicious dog? Gentle reader, I fain would spare you this, but my pen hath its will like the ancient mariner. Oh Christ, what a scene is this! Can tongue or pen accommodate these scandals? A beastly young hooligan has gouged out the eye of his confrere and fuck him in the brain. This brain atrophy already, and as dry as grandmother's cunt. Quite a guy. And quickly on the fleas. I was reading that while I had fleas. So that just adds to it. It's a funny thing when you wake up with bites all over your body, red marks, chicken pox. You say, okay, great, this could either be bed bugs, fucking fleas, vermin and lice, or it could be stress hives. Because I've been getting a twitch in my eye and I'm stressed out all the time. Ah, so the only way to make my theory of one or the other known is to calm the fuck down. If I calm down and the bites go away, then I'll know it was stress. But how funny is that? It's like a paradox of I'm sitting there shaking, trying not to get stressed out, because if I get stressed out, then bugs will crawl on me. You know what I mean? So of course I was reading Naked Lunch shortly after that. I would like to do a rewatch of that movie. I only watched it once, and frankly, it was a good way to watch the movie because I was in and out of consciousness, and that's all I'll say. But I did not absorb most of it. Shout out RoboCop. Shout out James Bond. Shout out William Lee. Shout out William Tell. That's how he killed his common law wife. I'm jumping all over the place. All that fucking matters is this. I realized in some of these viewings that sex in movies sometimes excites me and gets me like, ah, yes, I love art. Not even in a like, ooh, I'm horny. No, like in a way that I'm like, oh, gorgeous. Like, oh my God. I think Guadagnino does it well. And then sometimes I'm like, okay, guys, like the feminist in me comes out. The feminist in me is frankly not there all the time. I can admit that. When I listen to Lana, she sucks in like Homer Simpson in the bushes. She is gone. I'm just listening to the art. And I was like, okay, well, what is the reason why sometimes? To keep talking deeper. Another thing that queer reminded me of was Poor Things. Yorgos Lanthimos. Shout out Yorgos Lanthimos. He is also someone who I have not seen all of his movies. I haven't seen The Lobster, haven't seen Killing of a Sacred Deer, haven't seen Kinds of Kindness. That's next. I wanted to watch that before I filmed this video, but life got away from me. Love The Favorite. Once again, why the fuck is Nicholas Hoult in all these movies? And Emma Stone, because Emma Stone was also in Poor Things, which was... I could do a whole video just on this movie. This movie was like borderline. I was watching it and I was like looking over my shoulder. I was like, why the fuck do they know me like this? Which is so stupid because it's everyone. But like the fake Portugal, the mystical world, it's like London but it's not, and there's like very obvious not the Alexandria set, the drama, the costumes. It was really the sex, the costumes, the sets, and her long ass black hair. I was like, this is everything I'm going for. Cause like, anyways. And that was something that I was fucking watching this with Jenna. These are the long black hair sex movies. But we were watching Isabella Gianni. Doesn't matter. We were watching Nosferatu, and the long black hair, I think it was Lily Rose Depp, but it might have been Isabella Gianni. I think I want it to be Isabella Gianni, but it doesn't matter. Jen was like, oh, she kind of looks like you. And I was like, that's hilarious because I put this on to look like her. Like, I do this to be the goth period piece, you know, Alice Rivers. Not that I give a fuck about House of the Dragon, but it's like, I want to be the witchy Game of Thrones woman. I put this on. Eva Green in The Dreamer. Someone also told me I look like Eva Green, and I was like, ha 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 ha. I was born with blonde hair and freckles. I don't go in the sun on purpose, and I dye my hair black so that because I saw Eva Green at whatever age, and I was like, her, I would be her. Same with Marceline. Like, anyway, so it's just funny when people say I look like that, because I'm like, oh, good, it's working. Imagine if I uploaded this all as one take. What I really liked about Poor Things, yeah, as I said, was I mentioned this word pictorialist before. Now, what is that? Well, if I could break it down in little photography terms, pictorialism was in around the turn of the century when photography was being popularized, and there was this photography as an art form was more coming into the thing, and everyone was like, all the painters were like, no, that's cheating, you're cheating, you could, why would it, it's a waste, you just take a picture and then you're done, that's so quick, that's so easy, fuck you. And the pictorialists were the photographers who said, no, we put as much care and thought and time and love into this as you would expect. And it's almost like a play set, painterly, when I say play, like theater play, like they would like construct these scenes, they would make costumes, they would do costumes, they would like plan it all out, they would combine certain films together, they would like stitch other films. So they basically made paintings with film. And I would argue Poor Things totally did that. And Queer kind of did that too. Queer did that in a way less ambitious way. Poor Things was insane. I can't believe that movie got made. But yeah. All that doesn't matter. Oh, also, no, we're not gonna get into that. As for the bugs in Cronenberg, I don't know where the bugs came from. Am I still filming? Yeah. I don't know where the bugs came from. I haven't read all of Naked Lunch, as I said. I've only read like maybe absolutely max 50 pages, and like it seems like a lifetime. And it's like I said, I don't really remember half that movie, so I want to read the whole book and watch it again and then watch the making of and see what's going on, because I think that Cronenberg made the movie when he was still alive, and it was considered an unadaptable book, and yeah, not in a Catcher in a Rye way, but in a way that I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck I'm reading. That William Burroughs would also take his manuscripts and like cut them up and then like paste them back together, so it made no sense on purpose. Like, shout out the avant-gardists everywhere. Flowers growing in my avant-garden. But Poor Things is a story of a woman who, it's like a coming of age story, which is funny because she's a grown woman with the mind of a baby. If you don't, if honestly, drop everything. If you haven't seen that movie, I would recommend it. Whether you like it or don't like it, like I do think it's worth a watch because it's just, she won an Oscar for it. But a lot of the movie is sex. Now listen, I am all for a woman having her own thing, but when a man is writing and directing it, once again, I don't know if it's based off a book, maybe I should look that up, something about it is like, ugh, she can put her top on, like something about the filming of a woman having sex and have that be so common in all movies. I'm like, basically, if you take everything I just said and crunch it up into one small crunched can stamped on the ground, a condensed thesis of what I'm trying to get at here is, when I say I love sex in movies, I am not talking about a female actor going on screen topless. I am talking about something weirder, something deeper, something that's a bit more on the fringes. The peach scene in Call Me By Your Name, great example. The, what's it called? Prostate exam scene in Cosmopolis. Shout out Cronenberg again. Shout out the fucking girl from Schitt's Creek. The scene is this. Cosmopolis is an interesting movie. I don't know if, I wouldn't recommend it in a way that's like, oh my god, it's so good, but it's like, it's definitely an interesting watch, and it was 2012 and it's very much about big money, which is funny because I was like young. I feel like Cronenberg's always ahead of the game in terms of like the everything everywhere all at once, like Videodrome's a great example. This movie, honestly, I started it and I was not a fan, but by the end it sold me. Nancy Babbage, it definitely sold me. Also, I love Robert Pattinson, like shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. Yes, obviously. And that movie, okay, sorry, that movie's also a really good companion piece to The Batman, because I feel like those are very similar characters. I almost feel like you could watch Cosmopolis then The Batman, and it's like, it would make perfect sense as one story. Anyways. There is a scene in that movie where he is in his limo. Robert Pattinson is getting a prostate exam in his limo, but he's also having a meeting. He is talking to her, and his but has another man's hand in it, and he's kind of like reacting to it, and she's reacting to him, and they're talking face to face, and there's this moment of like, and she's holding a water bottle, she's crushing it into her stomach, talking to him. I was like this at the TV. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I just, something about it was like crazy, because what the fuck? The thing that ruined that scene is the word sexual tension was said. He said, there's sexual tension right now. We didn't need that. Cut that shit. Cut that shit. That's what I think I'm getting at. When it comes to sex in movies, I don't want the explicit. Nosferatu is a very interesting one because I think it has a lot of these things, but also other things. Like, it has good, interesting ones. If Robert Eggers is watching this, send me an email. But I doubt he is, so whatever. But, like, I loved the end when he's, like, spoilers, obviously, eating her fucking heart. That was gross and very sexual, but not. That's what I like. And that's what I've always liked about Cronenberg. He is, yes, completely disgusting and rapey and awful, but there's a threshold for sex where this is what it actually is, and then there's some kink past it. This shit is weird, and it's reserved for the freaks like him. But when it comes to camera, I think it's so much more interesting to not just show, because come on, this is a fucking woman, you're parading her around. I don't like it. I don't fucking like it. I hate the noises. Shout out Lily Rose Depp. You are gorgeous and you did a great job, and I really liked it when you were acting weird and snotty and freaky deaky. But some of the other stuff, I was like, oh my god, like, I don't need to see this. Like, I feel, and I shouldn't, because it's her choice, but I feel bad. I feel bad for her, and I felt bad for Emma Stone watching Poor Things, and it's like, oh, Mark Ruffalo did it too. It's so different. It's so fucking different, and you know it is. So anyways, this is all in defense of David Cronenberg, because although I fucking hate some of his stuff and choices and portrayals and female characters and male characters and so much of what he does, but at the end of the day, he portrays sex in a way that I don't think anyone else is doing, and it is freaky deaky deaky. There's literally the scene when in Videodrome when he pierces her ear. He just takes a needle and like she goes, ah, and it's like, that's what I fucking want, because it's penetration, but it's not, and it's weird, and you're like, oh my god, and it's like, watching that is just so much more exciting. Surgery is the new sex. Okay, that's it, bye.